tests against the Wallabies over the years, but is this maybe the least you've known about the Wallabies going into any of those tests?
Yeah, it would be. Obviously, Super Rugby's, as we all know, completely different. So, playing within your own country means that crossover just didn't happen. We still know a little bit about them. We can't obviously exactly pinpoint what and how they're going to play. But the best thing is there's heaps of footage there that you can go and have a look at without looking too far into it. Every team here in New Zealand plays slightly different, and it's no different to them over there.
Does that mean a few extra hours, kind of more so than usual, watching tape than you would usually in the test week?
There is that potential to probably get caught up into that trap, but I think if we worry about ourselves and our systems, no matter what you're talking about, defence, attack, line-out scrums, you kind of have to prepare for a bit of everything, but it's going to be an enjoyable challenge when we get out there. We're just going to have to adapt on the run and see how it's going.
What sort of Wallabies side do you expect under kind of, obviously they've got a brand new head coach and Dave Brady?
Yeah, they're going to be good. They always are. No matter where they're playing, Super Rugby wise, they've always shown up and given the All Blacks a hard physical game, and they've always challenged us in different areas. So I don't expect anything different to that.
The Rugby Championship schedule obviously still sort of not really set in stone, I guess. Is that almost becoming an unwanted distraction for you guys?
For me as a player, it's pretty easy. The old cliches of one game at a time is spot on. So we've got to just deal with this week and then next week, and then by then everything will be confirmed, and then we can make a plan around whatever's happening. So for me, I've just got to concentrate on the here and now, and that's here in Wellington, got to go out there and train well, and then hopefully selected and go out and play well.
For you personally, how important would it be to be home for Christmas, to be able to spend it with your family?
Yeah, I've got a young family, so deal with all that later, but the reality is I've got to deal with this now. So that's the thing that I can control for me. So I've nailed this week, next week, and then when the people that make those decisions make it, then can deal with it from there.
Just in terms of this week, obviously it's the first All Blacks test of the year, someone who's been in and around the environment. There's quite a lot of youngsters here. Have you obviously it's early in the week, but how have they sort of blended in and fitted in this week?
Yeah, it's been great. The last 2 camps we've had, it's been a good time to allow those guys to see what it's all about, being in the All Black environment. Some quiet guys, but that's great. I know I was pretty quiet when I first came in as well. So it's about them expressing who they are, and now we're into a test week. Even though it's a Sunday test, it's on them to go out there and train well, because that's why they've been selected. And then if some of them are given the opportunity, they've got to go out and play well.
Sam, it's almost a year now since the All Blacks last played a test match. For you personally, you've been to Japan, you've played in a Super Rugby competition that no one could ever have envisaged being made. How much of a reset has the last 10, 11 months been for you personally?
You're spot on. It has been completely different to what we thought was going to happen. We were in Japan for 4 months. It was meant to be 6. Came back, meant to be straight into internationals if selected. So completely different. But for me, it's been awesome having that time away from rugby, just to clear up a few of those little niggles that you can't actually get rid of unless you're having time away from the game. So that was really good. But then just the mental side of it, actually being outside of New Zealand, being at Panasonic, walking in, not knowing, is this person a player, a coach, CEO, and having to go back to square one and learn some of those things was really awesome for myself. And I think I'm in a better spot now than I would have been probably this time last year.
As a player, as a senior player member of the leadership team, what noticeable differences have you seen underneath Ian Foster and Sam Kane being in charge, and what kind of differences are those?
Yeah, I got asked that the other day, comparing Steve to Ted and Fozzie, and the easiest way to sum it up is Steve is an ex-cop, so kind of run it a bit that way, and Ted being an ex-principal, so kind of that, and I haven't quite worked out Fozzie, how you're going to sum him up into a couple of words, but I think it's good. It's really refreshing for myself and some of the other guys that have been around a while, including some of the older management too. So it's good having They're fresh look at things, and the boys are excited to see how it's going to go through a test week.
And with Sam?
Yeah, obviously played a lot of rugby with Sam. We're trying to work out where we can all have our point of difference. How do we help him? How do we, as a team, not load him up to do too much? So we're going through all that this week, which is really good. Obviously being the first test week, you can't really do it until you get to this time.
Your experience, does that take time? Like, how long does it take to get that going?
It actually happens pretty quickly. Like, there's always been different ways of doing things around Super Rugby and here. Some of them are very similar, so it's actually just working out how we want to operate as a leadership group, how Sam wants to operate as captain, and then obviously Fozzie as head coach.
Does it feel like a natural fit as he stepped into the job?
Yeah, no, he's doing really well. The biggest thing for all of us, it's how do we help him. It's not just him out there, it's all of us. So it's the key thing for us, being the older guys, to make sure that he doesn't feel like he's isolated.
Obviously there's a strong chance there'll be a young lock debuting, whether it's in the starting 15 or off the bench for the first test. I mean, are the young guys ready for a step up into Test International second row?
Yeah, of course they are. You don't actually know till they get out there, and that's for them to decide. But you never know whether you're 20 years old or 30. That first one is special because it is your first, and I'm sure if they are given that opportunity, they'll put their best foot forward.
And do you remember do you remember Johnny Hill's conversion?
Yes, I remember watching it a few years ago now. It was obviously lock. Can't kick to save myself, so always thought it'd be pretty awesome to be able to step up in the big stage like that and go and do it. But can't say I've tried kicking since then. So.
If you're up by 30,
no, I'm not kicking. No. Pretty keen to stay away from any type of kicking if I have to.
About that Bledisloe game? Was that the last one we won?
Not
Last anyway, right?
Yeah, maybe. I remember it being a tight affair, and obviously they got the opportunity right at the end to take, and they took every opportunity they were given. So that's something for us this week, to make sure we don't leave it till the last play, or leave it in the ref's hands to make a decision. So.
Sam, just curious in terms of crowds. Obviously, there's going to be a crowd this weekend, but given how much, how rugby loving New Zealand is, how different would it be for a Wallabies game without a crowd in New Zealand? As a player, do you get up more when the crowd's obviously,
For myself, probably the position I play, I don't have a lot of time to listen to the crowd in that. I think if you're talking to some of the outsides, might be a little bit different for them. The first time I didn't play with the crowd was here for North-South, and it was a bit different, obviously being able to hear what they're talking about in their huddles. If we have to deal with that, we'll deal with it, but at the moment I think we've got a crowd this week, unless you're going to tell me any different. So yeah.
Sam, just on the Wallabies again, between Dave Rennie, Scott Wiseman, and even like Jeff Parling, there's a lot of Northern Hemisphere experience in recent years. Do you think that is going to leave quite an obvious fingerprint on the Wallabies that you see on Sunday, or how are you seeing them kind of approach it?
Yeah, I think Matty Taylor, for example, obviously spent a lot of time in Scotland, but he obviously an Aussie, spent a lot of time there before he went. So I think there'll be ideas and traits that they might have brought back, but I think they've had heaps of time just like us. They'll be pretty aligned on how they want to play the game, but I know Fozzie said before, we'll find out as soon as that whistle goes how they want to play. So we're just got to be prepared for as many of those different scenarios without making it too complicated.
Sam, how well do you know Dave Rennie yourself, and what's the Dave Rennie factor? How important is that going to be in the very last game?
Yeah, I had Renz for New Zealand under-20s as head coach, and he was awesome. I really enjoyed how he brought the team together. Obviously a different environment being under-20s, game every 4 days, and the tournament like that, it's pretty ruthless just because it's short, it's compact. And Renz did an awesome job for us, and he was a big reason why we were successful, and no doubt he'll be doing the same with them. He'll be connecting them, and it's a challenge for us to make sure that we're just as connected, if not more.
That's